Tonight on First Alert Weather Extra, we continue to talk about the chance of rain for the upcoming holiday weekend and how much our area could potentially see.
And it's Thursday, so that means a new update to the drought monitor, where we currently stand and if this weekend's rain chances could potentially make a difference.
Plus, we're not the only ones not seeing a white Christmas. We're on your side with snow trends throughout the years and where this year falls.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And thank you for staying with us for First Alert Weather Extra. I got to ask, how are you doing on your Christmas shopping list? Have you wrapped it up yet?
Oh, no.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, no. What about you, Wes?
Hey, I've went through the list and I've actually checked it twice.
You checked it twice, okay.
Yeah, but also we've been checking the checklist for the forecast, which still features a little bit of wet weather. I know coming up here on Christmas Day. No snow this year. Looks like rainy weather on the way. That's the next big thing. As both Lauren and Tania have been talking about, we're seeing the clouds thickening up out there. The chance for some showers coming back as early as Christmas Eve. And the way this is going to time out, it looks like rain is going to be here. I remember one Christmas Eve we had it poured all night, and looks like that's going to be the situation for us here again for this year. Let's talk about right now on radar. If you look on the app and you check some of the radar products, you may start to see a little bit of green out there. Some of that moisture is showing up across the area, but it's not reaching the ground because it is extremely dry. So tonight it's just mostly clouds that we're dealing with out there. But notice tomorrow morning temperatures for most of us, we're above freezing early in the day. We may get close to freezing. The colder spots to the north like Piedmont Center, places like Gadsden, they're right there close to freezing early in the day. But for most areas, again, it's still jacket weather, but it looks like those temperatures for tomorrow morning will start to trend above freezing. A patchy frost also possible early in the day. We're jumping ahead to Christmas Eve here. I want to show you that forecast and the way the data has trended. What we know right now, the latest is we're seeing the possibility of some of this rain starting to move in during the evening. So West Alabama first off, we'll see those rain chances 6 to 8 o'clock starting to increase, and then it looks like some showers there through midnight and into the morning hours on Christmas Day. So a first alert for rain coming back. Here's a look at some of the model guidance, and you can see the clouds are going to be still around as we go into Saturday. There will be a few breaks out there, but Sunday and during the day mostly cloudy, but not a lot of rain until we get into the evening hours. And notice the temperatures there on Sunday. I mean, we'll be close to 70 degrees in some areas. So the milder air is going to gradually build back in here, and that may lead to a couple of rumbles of thunder as we go into the day on Christmas. But you can see that chance for rain there 9 p.m. on Sunday, and then wet weather likely there as we go into the morning hours on Christmas Day. And rain amounts at this point, this doesn't look like a heavy rain event. I think we'll end up with maybe 4/10 to a half inch of rain for most areas there once this event wraps up. But I'm a bit more optimistic that we'll catch a few breaks during the afternoon on Monday in the wet weather. And Lauren, I know you were also taking a close look at that forecast data as well, and it seems like the data has trended a little bit faster as far as the timing.
Yeah, Wes, and would you believe it, today is the winter solstice. So it is the first day of winter in the northern hemisphere. So what exactly is the winter solstice? Well, technically, it doesn't occur until 9:27 p.m. Central Time for tonight. So if you want to get real technical with it, we still have a few hours left to fall before winter officially arrives for tonight. But what does the winter solstice mean? Well, it all has to do with the Earth's tilt. That is what causes the Earth's seasons. If we didn't have the tilt of the Earth's axis, we wouldn't have the season. But the Earth has an elliptical orbit around the sun. So we have the changing of the seasons 4 times a year. You've got equinoxes and solstices. So what happens in the winter is that in the northern hemisphere, the Earth's axis in its elliptical orbit around the sun, the Earth is tilted away from the sun. So that means that we have less daylight. This is one of our shortest days of the year. But on the flip side, in the southern hemisphere, this is the start of their summer because they are tilted towards the sun. So if you're tilted towards the sun, likely going to be a little bit warmer. The sun's direct rays are currently over the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. The good news is days are gradually going to begin to get longer now, Tania.
And Lauren, I'm not mad at a little extra sunlight. Can't wait. Well, a major wildfire in Talladega County is now 100% contained. But some residents of the Sycamore community tell us it got pretty scary. That wildfire on Monday threatened homes. The Alabama Forestry Commission says 28.5 acres burned. The commission says you will continue to see the area smoldering for several days, but crews will make sure the area is safe. As a reminder, if you see anything that could lead to a wildfire, don't hesitate to call it in.
Calling 911 early and getting emergency responders on the way quickly, obviously keep it from turning into a 50-acre wildfire like this fire in Sycamore was. So those are certainly some of the precautions, paying attention to the fire weather alerts from the Forestry Commission.
And this comes as several parts of the state are still dealing with drought. Stay tuned for the rest of First Alert Weather Extra to hear the update to the drought monitor. And in California, it's being called a weather event that will probably only happen once every 500 years. This is how California officials are describing the torrential rain that fell in California overnight into this morning as the result of an atmospheric river. The National Weather Service in Los Angeles confirming between 2 and 6 inches of rainfall overall, with up to 4 more inches possible. Officials in the city of Oxnard told people to stay off the roads due to the heavy flooding.
But on the flip side, the next few weeks are the busiest at Lake Tahoe ski resorts in California. As Brittany Hope reports, while many of them are up and running, there just isn't as much snow as this time last year.
From the winds to the let's try that again. Sierra at Tahoe is ready to welcome crowds ahead of Christmas and New Year's.
How's the snow this year, you guys? It's a little sad so far.
Despite much help from Mother Nature.
Currently we have Easy Rider Express as well as Slider and Magic Carpet. So this gives you access to really good beginner terrain. That's also our teaching terrain. So we've got tons of lessons going on for both adults and kids.
3 of the resort's lifts are open right now, but that could soon change.
We're looking at the forecast ahead, and it looks like we're actually going to get like a couple little dustings for the next couple of days to kind of keep conditions fresh and hopefully allow us to open up more terrain.
How are the conditions?
It's slow, but it's picking up. Yeah.
I got here yesterday, came to snowboard, and a little bit underwhelmed.
Just ask Kyla, who was here to see it.
We went to downtown and then we couldn't come back home because there was so much snow.
But these tamer conditions are better for her first day snowboarding ever.
It's fun. I think I'm getting the hang of it.
At Heavenly Ski Resort,
How are the conditions?
Today's better than the last couple days.
a little more than half of the lifts are up and running.
Came up here and not super disappointed, not super excited, but as snow hunters, you kind of just got to take what you get.
Right now, how has the snow been so far?
Good enough to ski. But
It's hard not to compare.
Last year we had about 4 feet of snow, so everything was open, the whole mountain. Right now it's, we've had 17 inches the whole season.
Director of Mountain Operations Barrett Burkhart hopes it'll cool down enough Friday and Saturday nights to keep up those cool snowmaking operations in the heat of the Christmas rush. To him, it's all about perspective.
I'm open like 4 more runs today, and that's mostly due to snowmaking.
And patience.
We want some more snow.
In South Lake Tahoe,
A lot of people complain about how much snow we had last year. I'll take that much snow any year.
Brittany Hope, KCRA 3 News.
Wow, that is really interesting to hear about all of that going on in Lake Tahoe. And we are certainly hurting for some snow around here too. But in 30 seconds, we're actually going to break down how many states are seeing a white Christmas this year and how many times our dear own Alabama has seen a white Christmas. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle. Here's a look at those current temperatures. Birmingham right now, upper 40s. We're seeing dew points in the 30s, so it's feeling a little chilly still out there, but this time today, we're actually a little bit warmer. Here are those current temperatures area-wide. We're mainly looking at temps in the 40s. Some of us in the upper 30s already, like Walker County at 39, 41 in St. Clair County, 49 in Tuscaloosa. But over the last 24 hours, like I mentioned, we're already seeing warmer conditions. We'll continue to see warmer conditions as we approach the weekend, but that also leads us into our next rain chance Sunday night and for your Christmas Day. We'll be talking more about that in our full weather coming up very shortly. Lauren.
Thanks, Tania. Well, according to the National Weather Service, historical data as far as white Christmases go shows that there hasn't ever been measurable snow on the ground in central Alabama on Christmas Day. It snowed in days leading up to Christmas, but never on the actual day. In 100 years, Birmingham has never had a classic quote-unquote white Christmas. Trace snowfall events actually happened in 2010, 1993, 1989, and 1899. I remember even in South Georgia in 1989. I was barely a year old. I remember, well, as much as one can remember when you're not a year old yet, but I remember seeing pictures of snow on the ground in South Georgia in 1989, but it wasn't enough. It was like trace amounts, right? And Tuscaloosa actually saw trace snowfall in 2010. So what I want to show you is the U.S. snow cover percentage by year. And this is looking from Christmas Day, basically over the past 20 years, from 2003 to 2023. So if we look at some years in particular that there was a lot more snow, you'll notice back in 2009, there was a lot of snow on the ground that Christmas, about 63% of the U.S. covered in snow. And then another notable year was 2012 with about half of the U.S. covered in snow, and then almost 50% again in 2017. And one year, actually very recently, was last year when we saw snow cover over 50% of the U.S. If you guys recall, last year around Christmas, we were tracking a ridiculously cold, dangerous Arctic blast. I know we were covering stories in and around Christmas about pipes bursting, but we were talking about snow cover being less this winter. Well, if we look at the winter warming since 1970 across the U.S., you can see a good 2/3 of the U.S. have had the average winter temperature rise by 5 degrees. So more often than not, going to be warmer than colder. But we're always going to be keeping an eye on not just the weather, but the climate trends here too on First Alert Weather Extra. And coming up after the break, we will take a look at that Christmas forecast with Wes as we also check on an update on drought conditions. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. Currently temperatures out there tumbling into the 40s and 30s across parts of our area. Another dry day for us, and it's Thursday, so you know what that means. It's time for the drought monitor. We get that updated drought monitor on Thursdays, and meteorologist Matt Daniel has an update on how we're faring across the state.
Well, tonight technically is when the winter solstice occurs, and let's talk about the wettest winters on record, shall we? Of course, we think of winter time as December, January, and February, and obviously we've been dealing with the drought, so at this point we're not going to be anywhere close to this unless we just have nonstop rain in January and February. But number one was back in 1931, 1932. Over 27 inches of rain had fallen in just a 3-month time span, so that's a wet one. 1949, 1950, 56, 57, and just to give you perspective, our previous winter only recorded about 16 inches of rain, which was sort of in the middle ground. So the reason why I'm talking about the winter is because we are looking at that drought monitor. So let's go ahead and show you that real quick. And the drought has not improved that much because we haven't had much rain over the past week, maybe a tenth or two at best. So as we zoom in across central Alabama, you can see that extreme drought has actually expanded just a little bit to the east, and in fact we're seeing those percentages up just a little bit. But extreme drought for parts of 2059 from Birmingham all the way up towards northeast Alabama, and of course lower drought conditions the farther south and east you go into the state. So last week about 46% of the state was experiencing severe drought. That number has increased by 2%, now up to 48%. In red, that's the extreme drought. 14% of the state was under that last week. It has increased to 17%. And when it comes to that moderate drought, last week it was at 66%. It has increased just by 1 at 67. So here's a look at our average rainfall for this month. On average, we'll pick up about 4.5 to 5 inches of rain, still pretty far below that. And of course, we're expecting some additional rainfall, some much needed rainfall as we go on Christmas Day. Could pick up about maybe an inch of rain or so. But normally as we go into the winter months, we'll average about 5 inches of rainfall going into January and February. And March is typically our wettest month of the year. So just a reminder, make sure you download the WBRC First Alert Weather app. It may be very handy for you on Christmas Day. Hopefully you don't have to be traveling anywhere. You can just stay at home and spend some time with your family and friends. But you can track the radar through there, through the past part of it. And if you see the future option on the radar, that means it's a future model showing where the rain could go over the next several hours. So you can sort of plan out your day through there. So make sure you monitor that, download it, and get that updated information through the First Alert Weather app. Happy winter, everyone.
Yeah, we are counting down to the winter solstice. Our First Alert weather watchers at last check, Travis Braden here in Shelby County was reporting 48. Dora, Kenneth Wilkinson reporting 49, 45 from Tyler Young and Trussville, and 49 from Oxford. But that temperature, it's dropping into the low 40s here. It looks like as we get closer to 9 o'clock, we'll see a few 30s there showing up in areas to the north especially. But still a lot of clouds out there for us this evening, and those clouds will have a bit of an impact on the temperatures. It's going to be another cold night. I mean, you'll need to crank up the heat out there, but it looks like in the morning, just some patchy frost early in the day, but we're not talking sub-freezing. I mean, 20s all over the place. It looks like in the morning temperatures right there close to freezing. Another dry start to the day, and then as we go throughout the day, I'm a bit more optimistic tomorrow. We'll get some sun breaking through that cloud cover at times. Afternoon temperatures will be rising close to 62 here in T-Town, 62 in Fayette, here in Birmingham 59, Gadsden 58, 60 degrees for us here in Anniston. But another nice day setting up there. If you already have a nice day off from work, get to enjoy there as we count down to Christmas time. It is going to stay dry, and looks like Saturday morning there, temperatures staying above freezing. Again, just a few clouds there mixing in during the day, but it should be perfect weather for the Birmingham Bowl on Saturday. All right, let's talk about the next big thing. We have the extra look here on First Alert Weather Extra. That system that we've been telling you about in the news, bringing all the flooding and all the rain to California. Well, that's the next system that's going to be impacting us on Christmas Day. You can see that storm as it ejects out of the southwestern U.S. The flow out ahead of that becomes southwesterly. That's why we're already seeing these clouds coming in from the west, and that moisture starts to overrun this colder air. So as we get into Sunday, we'll start to see more clouds and then showers coming back. You can see by 9 p.m. on Sunday, The center of the system is still way back in here, but it looks like we're going to see a nice, what we call a dry pocket that's going to wrap in behind this. So once we get this first wave of rain through on Monday, it looks like we'll see a nice surge of drier air start to work its way back in here quickly by Tuesday. So we think that wet weather is going to be lifting on out of here a bit sooner, and that's a good thing there. And even later in the day on Christmas Day, I think we'll catch some breaks as that system lifts out of the region. But in the meantime, right now, we have the prime set up for a lot of clouds. No rain just yet, but we'll start to see those showers coming back for Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day. Now, when you look at Christmas Eve, it only shows 20%, but that rain chance is going to jump quickly up to 60-70% by late Sunday night. So a first alert for that rain coming in there for Sunday night and into the day on Christmas. And check out the temperatures there this weekend, highs in the 60s. There's going to be some areas where we're going to see temperatures close to 70 degrees there for Saturday and Sunday. So as we look ahead for this weekend, again, you can see those rain chances right there ramping up Sunday and into Monday and next week. But let's talk about the beyond the 7-day forecast, because after Tuesday, looks like we're going to have some dry weather, Lauren Linehan, for the rest of the year, perhaps.
Yeah, to take back all those Christmas gifts you don't want, right? We're going to be,
Yeah.
no, give us all the gifts you got.
Yeah. Hopefully we can hold on to those gifts.
Hopefully
right?
so. Yeah. Or I think the best thing about right after Christmas is going to get those deals on everything being 50% off, all the Christmas stuff, so you can stock up for next year.
Yeah, replace some of those Christmas lights.
Yes.
You know, the ones we're only half the strand works, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I have a few of those. So looking at that first alert weather calendar, like Wes said, looking really trending dry for most of next week once we get past Christmas. One thing we do want to note is that some of our weather models have been trying to suggest that somewhere around the new year, there could maybe be a rainmaker or storm system, possibly the weather becoming a bit more unsettled. Right now, it looks like it would be the day after New Year. So we just want to give you a first alert for that. Maybe early 2024, we could be dealing with either some rain or storms in the forecast. But as far as the temperature trends here, check it out. In the southeast, 8 to 14 days from now, looking like we could be seeing the possibility of some below average temperatures in the forecast for us. So what does that translate to? Well, next week, relatively cool and dry. Our average high as we get into the end of the year is around 56, so possibly lows only in the low mid 50s before maybe seeing a warm up going into the new year. And then, of course, if we do have a colder spell coming through, we could be seeing the possibility of some freezing temperatures once we get past Christmas and leading up to New Year's Day, that Monday. This is looking at December 27th through January 5th. So as far as any rainmakers in the forecast, we said next week is going to be relatively dry. So 8 to 14 days from now, looking like below average precipitation for us here in central Alabama. But I think as we get into the Friday after Christmas, and this is leading up into New Year's, we could see a couple of dips in the jet stream that could help to bring some colder weather, but generally overall looking drier. Here we are New Year's Day, possibly showing that system that we were talking about either late on New Year's Day or into Tuesday, January 2nd, maybe could be bringing us some rain or storms in the forecast. So that's the one we're going to be watching. We just want to give you the first alert for that sometime early into 2024. But in the meantime, we'll have a final look at First Alert Weather Extra right after the break. Well, we are just a couple of hours out now from the start of winter, and there is our last sunset or sunrise of fall.
Yeah, sunrise.
Yeah, that was this morning when hopefully we were all sleeping.
Nice we could actually see the sun at least for part of the day, right?
Very nice. So winter's coming, or it's almost here, knocking on our doorstep.
And we'll see you in the winter time at 9 o'clock.